there's never a time that Woods has ever interviewed where he says he's preparing for something. He's always ready to go. Looking forward to it. It'll be fun, you know. Game's in shape, let's go. And it doesn't matter whether it's the first of the year or the last of the year. He's never playing himself into shape. He's always ready to go. And that mindset, that idea, is totally different than other people's mindset. So the result of that is because he's always ready for whatever comes up, his record is different. It's a pretty well documented fact that when Tiger was growing up, when he was just little Tiger, his father Earl who taught him the game, used to play golf with him, and I think it's when Tiger turned 12, he beat his father for the first time and never lost to him again. Okay, from that day forward, he dominated. But his father prepared him mentally for the game, and he used to do things like walk around behind him when he was swinging, or drop his golf bag in his backswing, or all sorts of things that are not supposed to be done because everyone's supposed to be very quiet. But he prepared him to be mentally strong. And it's pretty well documented, too, that at a very young age, Tiger was sitting listening to tapes all night long about reinforcement and Tony Robbins type tapes, positive personality type of things. And we don't know the end of the Tiger Woods story or his era, but his father said before he left, there's a great deal that you all have yet to witness because he's not about golf. So what happens in the future, we don't know, and we'll see whatever unfolds about that. But from a mental standpoint, he is the strongest, at least in this era, that plays the game, because he's always ready. And you know, we've had interesting things going on here today. We had Carl Jung in our little, I don't know, historical account of what goes on, and Carl Jung was talking about the idea of bringing your spirituality into your everyday life, and having that mixture go on. Petrarch was the same. This humanistic idea or movement that you have to have this other aspect going on. And we tend to do that quite a bit. But I think what's lacking in many of the things that we do is we always think of ourselves as getting better, as preparing for something, for the day when I can do this, or we meditate so that we get better in a certain aspect of our lives. And I think there's a point in time that we have to stop preparing ourselves for something. Because if you continue to prepare yourself, that's all you're going to do, is you're going to continue to prepare. And there's a certain time that we have to stand up and we have to accept that we are a certain thing, or that we are at a certain level. And we have to accept that as a fact. And I think it becomes difficult for us to view things in that pattern, because some days we feel good and some days we feel not so good. Some days we feel anxious, some days we feel fearful. And if we're mentally strong enough, we can drop those anxious or fearful thoughts and stand in the mode that we are, whatever it is we need to be at that particular moment. That each moment in time is an opportunity, is, if we want to call it that, a test to show us what it is, show ourselves who and what we are. So that regardless of what's placed in front of us, that we stand at this moment a being that exudes love. That regardless of what's placed in front of us, we stand at this moment as a being that exudes harmony. Regardless of what's placed in front of us, we stand at this moment as a being that exudes abundance. And it doesn't matter to me whether it's 10 ounces of love or 20 ounces or 100 ounces. The real question is whether we stand at this moment and our stance is one of love, one of peace, one of harmony, one of joy. Or as we stand at this moment, is our stance one of fear, one of anxiety, one of troubleness? What's the stance? And we're tournament ready, so to speak, when no matter how gray the day, and I always love the saying of Dr. Basel's that, oh, what a lovely gray day it is. Dr. Basel was tournament ready, morning, noon, and night, regardless of the fact that he supposedly had a severed spinal cord and had difficulty with vision. He got up and walked, and he got up and saw, and he commented on the fact that, you know, you people are fortunate. You don't have to think about every step you take. However that goes, he was ready all the time. And he was ready to do things that needed to be done. If that particular situation needed humor, it was there. And if it needed love, it was there. And if it needed harmony, it was there. If it needed abundance, it was there. That's what he stood for. In fact, one strange thing that I never will understand, they asked him whether he ever experienced fear. And he said no. Now consider that in your lifetime. How is it that you can actually stand there with the things that he went through, say you never experienced fear? I think there's a moment of time lying in a bed, you'd be fearful you'd never walk again. But he never had that fear or that thought. His thought was just the opposite, that he was going to walk, he was going to stand up, and that day was coming real soon. And it happened real soon, and he got up and he walked. In interviewing of people like Mr. Woods, if you asked him if he was fearful he would hit it in the rough or in the water, he wasn't fearful of it. He never thought of it. It doesn't come into his mind.